everybody? Welcome to our stream today, covering the X-Wing Alliance version 3 beta points. 3.2 technically is what I see. BV 3.2. To be technical, I'm joined by Greg, key member of the points team. We love to be technical sometimes, as we like we nerd out about streaming in 1440p.
I do nerd out about streaming in 1440p.
It is fun. It is fun. How's it going, man? How are you doing on this fine, what is it, Sunday? This holiday weekend has been a complete blur.
Yeah, it's going good. I think we're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, rent is due today for a lot of us, which is great. Happy rent due day.
Buy a house, people. Buy a house.
Buy a house. Unless you can't afford it, then don't.
Even if
but
you
a lot
can't
of people
afford
here
it,
do
buy
that
a house.
anyways. Great
Learn
advice.
nothing from 2008.
Oh man, I'm gonna do a quick little adjustment. There's a little flashing green bounding box around us. I'm gonna try to crop that out because that is a little, Discord doing that with video is a little annoying. So we're just gonna.
So they know who's talking.
Yeah, it would be impossible that our voices sound so similar, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can't
look
tell
the
us
same
apart.
Too. I mean, if you look at our Twitch stream,
basically twins.
About section, it says my name is Greg, not Nick, and then mine says my name is Nick, not Greg. And
I don't think I've changed that in like 5 years. 4 years. Well, however long I've been streaming, I have not changed that.
Yeah, and I knew that it wasn't about me, but I just thought it was too funny not to pass up the opportunity to put that in mind as well. So I did. All right, we'll see. I'm sure I missed a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But we can get started.
Tell you what to think. Think it's the greatest update of all time, Nano. That's what you think. God.
Nano's always hitting us with the jokes too. Nano's very funny with that. Greg, why don't you talk about just kind of, let's just start with the basics here. We'll go through the document together for each faction, but what were you guys trying to tackle with this update, and maybe why? Like, a lot of people, I think X-Wing players, whether they like the changes or don't, are always like, why? Are asking why. So like, what's the why here with this update, generally speaking?
I mean, I'm gonna say the first update, but it's BV2, right? So like the first update to the initial points release wasn't really update. I would say that was more of like a tweaking. That was like they released the new SL cards, so we just took that opportunity to tweak a few things. It wasn't really like a comprehensive look. We didn't feel like we had enough data at the time yet to like make a like a really comprehensive. And this one isn't even all that. It's not like super comprehensive or anything. Like I don't know how many changes there are total, but it's probably in like the 20s or something. If you don't count like everyone gets a sensor slot or something like that. But it just felt like we got a ton of data in when the open playtest reports started coming in. Like the playtest team got formed and we started getting summaries and everything of feedback and all that. So just felt like the time was right, because I don't think we're going to get to do another one, another like comprehensive one before Adepticon. And then I don't know what's going to happen post Adepticon. None of us know. So it could be a different point system. It could be the same point system. We just don't know. So we just wanted to make the tweaks, get as right as we could. Mm-hmm. And seemed like the right time.
Yeah, you and I talked about this like a few weeks ago, and you joined me for our podcast about just kind of like the vibe and maybe where we're seeing like things with the last version. I'd say that we're all pretty happy with the way things have shaped out so far, but obviously there were some tweaks to be made. That's why we're here, and that's the way this goes. So I've been having a lot of fun personally playing the points, and I've been seeing a lot of positive reception. Matthew Carey in the chat, my boy Matt, is one of the playtest team members who's been kind of organizing, looking through playtests, and I know that's what you and Ollie, Dale, and Catherine do as well. So obviously, data is the most important and the only way you can make informed decisions on adjusting points.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
kind of
we watch a
anything
lot of
you can.
X-Wing, so that helps. But
We
like,
do. Like, yeah,
but
it
it's
helps.
also like
It's
it
anecdotal
helps.
still.
But like, yeah, it's your like everyone has their own biases, right? Like, I have ships that I hate, so like, I can't be like, screw this ship, get it out of here. You know, you gotta rely on the data for it, and you know, and that's why we have like a good team, because some of our like bad impulses, the other team members will be like, nah, man, get out of here.
Yeah, I will say selfishly, I right before the playoffs for your draft league, I had a list I've been playing and having a lot of fun with, and it's been very nerfed in a couple of ways, and I was like, ah, and then I'm like, ah, it's fair. But I was like, first thing I was like, ah, like I went for the pitchfork, and then I was like, ah, nah, it's all right, it's all good, it's fair enough. I can't really argue with it. So let's dive into the changes here again. So Martin Liu of my team, the PR team, super good. I think he worked for Disney, no affiliation in this way, but he knows how to do branding stuff when it comes to like that's what he does for a living. And he made this document and formatted it really well. In terms of he made it look pretty, format it really well. These words are mostly yours, about 95% of it, I would say, maybe around that.
Yeah, most of it.
Shout out to Martin here.
Whenever
let's
it
go
says
for Rebels.
it's me.
It's Greg, by the way. Greg and I talked about this. This should be obvious for most of you guys, but feel free to ask questions. Greg can, I can do our best to answer as many as possible in the Twitch chat. So, Lambolo, how is it going? So let's talk about Rebels and Aiden Fox, the Initiative 1 B-Wing pilot, the SL from the Battle Over Endor, essentially is always rolling 2 green dice, prockets, proton bombs. When he dies, he can launch a proton bomb. He can focus evade every other turn, all that jazz. So let's talk about Aiden a little bit here.
I mean, I think this is probably the most obvious one that everyone on the planet knew was gonna happen. And essentially, it's my, because I was the one. Ollie wanted him at 5 to begin with, and I argued him like passionately down to 4 in the first release, because like I was like, oh, it's an I-1 though, like how often is it really gonna do the thing? I just didn't foresee how much lower initiative ships were gonna be making a comeback. I kind of was still maybe a little mentally stuck in like everything's going to be 5s and 6s, and well, now we're seeing a lot of 4s, a lot of 3s, a lot of 2s, a lot of 1s, and I still think Aiden's good, to be honest with you. Still tanky, gets extra agility, has munitions, has 270 degrees of bombs, re-rolls, free evades, like an after death ability, like. He's
just Initiative 1, which is always maybe the reason why you can justify him being at 4 for a while.
Well,
5 is going to be tough.
I did it, and then everyone on the planet was like, 4 points for this ship? Yes, please. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I played the hell out of him. So, but let's be honest, Greg, with the B-Wings, like for the longest time, they were DOA unless you had a cheap SL option, like we saw with Braylon and Gina in the AMG points before they tweaked.
Well, when the BOE B-Wings came out, they're everywhere. They're everything.
Yeah, I mean, they could do anything. They could do everything really that you needed them to.
I mean, you could tell it was like an issue because it was one of the few things that AMG fixed in their like surprise points update or whatever.
Yeah,
they upped the points on them because they're like, oh god. Yeah, they're really good. I think they're still really good. I just think we're taking this novel approach of you should have to pay for really good things.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's fair. I'm actually going to go side by side just because it makes sense with how I'm scrolling down the page here. So Fen Rao, we don't have to talk about Fen too much, but you thought you needed to lose a little bit of loadout. Fen, I assume this is the Fang Fighter Fen, as it says right in front of me.
Yeah.
Is there anything that like stood out? Was like, oh, that combo is just kind of like overperforming or doing a little too well, and so let's drop the loadout because of that.
As I recall, this is more Ollie. I still kind of don't really have an opinion on it.
Okay.
I think it was more just making slight adjustments to the power level because if you want to go right below it, we knew what we were doing to Boudica.
Yeah, so you increased Boudica's squad cost to 5, which Boudica's had been for quite a long time, in just the points option era, whether it be XWA or AMG. But 16 loadout on a Fang Fighter is pretty significant for sure.
Yeah, so Boudica's really good. You get the bonus attacks, right? Like it's a very nice bonus attack ship. It just increases a little bit of the variety. If you're a Rebel Fang player, you can now build a list around Boudica and give him all the Mandalorian stuff to make sure he's survivable. So like, just a different way to play Boudica. It's not like, I don't think this is like a groundbreaking thing, but I definitely know one or two Boudica stands who will like, instead of Boudica being a throw-in, will now build around Boudica because he's got the loadout to actually be competitive, like a standout piece.
Yeah, I think the approach of making like not just making everything cheaper, but trying to level things and making people really have to choose what kind of play style they want to play and where they want to invest is with a 20-point system, you can only do so much, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Personally, and so yeah, making those minor corrections, but giving the loadout in slots can do a lot to incentivize somebody to pay a little bit more for something. So
yeah, well now you can add Beskar, you can add Mandalorian optics. I mean, if you wanted to, he's got enough. You could add a shield, you could add a hull, and yeah, I mean, I think a shield's 12, a hull's 10. Could be wrong. It might be 14, 12. I don't remember, but he's got the loadout to add them. Yeah. And you still get a little more to play with too.
So Sabine crew, you guys opted to increase Sabine's price to 5 points. I don't remember. Sabine gets to do some. I honestly haven't used Sabine crew before.
She's the one where you put like the jam, the tractor, the stress. I think there's one other on the card, and if you enemy is hit by a friendly bomb, you can give that token from the card to that ship.
Oh yeah, it seems good.
It's super powerful. It's just Rebels weren't like really decent at bombing, but now with the BOE B wings and K wings being played a little bit, like they're a little better at bombing, and we've seen a lot of Sabine. And she was 3 points. And it just kind of felt like, I'll spend 3 points on that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. With Aiden being able to do 8, yeah, that makes sense. Enough said there for sure. This one hurt me a little bit. Shara had been in jail for so long with AMG points. With custom Shara. Hey Lambolo, thank you so much. 13 gifted subs. Thank you. I am going to mute the alert box here for a second just because it'll be a lot of TIE fighters and X-Wings shooting at each other sounds for a moment. Thank you, Lambolo. So 3-point rocket carrier at I-4 with an ability that can be pretty strong paired with some coordinating synergy stuff in Rebels, as they're known for. And then her SL variant has concussion missiles and hopeful. You figured, let's make the SL variant, which is a little bit more fair and less prockety, to be the 3-point one. And then you gave her 12 loadout at 4 points for the custom version. Did you think Shara was overperforming at 3 points with prockets or the ability to take a munition, or what was it, a missile at 3 points, or just curious about, or was it really more about the standard loadout card, or both?
It was just an oversight that we had the custom card and the standard loadout card basically with the same amount of loadout. Like it was the same thing. We just missed it. Like, I mean, there's nothing really.
Okay. So it wasn't. So you're saying it wasn't a personal attack against me, is what I'm saying? Because the next one absolutely
no, it
is.
definitely was. I mean,
yeah, the next one is.
all of these should be interpreted as a personal attack against Nick, just to be clear.
Just against me, yeah.
It was just a playtester was like, "Yo, this custom and SL are like the same. Like you can only really do the same things with them." And this isn't kind of like how we treated any other SL or any other custom. So we're like, yeah, we should probably fix that.
Yeah, fair enough. Gavin, like there was a lot of conversations around 5 point Gavin going up to 6. 5 points, I still think is pretty fair for Gavin. It seems like you guys agree, but the loadout was tweaked so that people could actually look at Corrin a little bit more. Right? That was probably the point of this.
Yeah, it was just Gavin is super strong. Probably one of the best abilities in the game, I would argue.
Crit conversion for anybody, anything.
Yeah, just like literally anybody, for any time, for any reason. Yeah, so I mean, it was just like I mean, wait, was it? It's a 2 point decrease. I think he was 12 and I was 10. I mean, yeah, sure. It's a nerf, but is it? It's
a very soft nerf. Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't take R3, elusive, and pattern analyzer essentially anymore. You have to choose 2 of the 3 upgrades, or something.
Yeah,
else.
It's not nothing, but it's not something huge. But
yeah,
I'm hoping that one of the side effects of it is that people start to look at Corrin. And there's a little bit of choice happening with your E-wings.
Yeah, I5 double tapping E-wing.
Gavin's ability is so hard to pass up, like
I know. And the E-wing is just such a strong stat line. It's silly. Yeah. Locking outside of range 3, obviously, setting up double modded shots when you go in to engage. What did you guys do so Corrin's loadout, did that change at all? Or no, it just
Corrin didn't change
at all? Okay, otherwise we would have seen it mentioned. I just want to double check. So it was just Gavin's.
No, he's I5 and he technically is a double tapper. It's a very like we don't price him as like a true double tapper really, because it's like a very conditional double tap and you're not allowed to shoot next turn, so you're kind of like it's like you're borrowing a shot, then you have to pay it back. You know what I mean? Like,
Ready to move on to the Empire, Greg?
Sure.
Let's talk about a faction that has been really hard for me to beat in XWA, mainly because you haven't had a 4 point strong Lambda pilot and Psy. I love that you used quotes from the playtest feedback. So if anybody doesn't believe you, you could be like, well, here's some quotes. I think it's I love it. I think it's cool that you guys incorporated that. I'd love to see more of that.
Well, I just wanted to show we were listening, but also now that you say it, it's like, yeah, argue with them. Don't argue with me.
Yeah, that's what the feedback says. So Psy is so powerful, double modded himself into someone else every round, and his Psy is an auto include for every game we play. But you guys were like, we can keep him at 4, just make him a little bit less power creepy in terms of his access to the title, right? You guys just removed the title slot from Lieutenant Psy, so he can't take it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, like imagine Psy coordinating a reinforce, gets a reinforce himself, and then a lock. Then he's essentially modding defense and offense every turn.
Yeah, and then the focus lock as well.
Ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, or focus lock, and he's double modding his offense. It's a little too good, but the ship also kind of sucks in that the dial is perhaps the worst dial in all the game. It's literally the worst dial, but now you can spend your 3 points and get Hark, which, opens the dial up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's definitely a nerf. I'm not saying it's not a nerf, but I think that the gain of Hark is also not nothing.
No, Hark has always been as shown to be pretty strong on the Reapers. So I think on Psi or on Lambda that works pretty well as well. All right, let's talk about the SL Whisper. So you guys had played the conservative approach, which I think was the right call, because when these came out, we were shocked at how ridiculously poorly designed, I'm going to be honest, they were for their cost, especially 5 points.
I don't want to say poorly designed. They just
that's my opinion.
So much
over designed is probably the better way to say it, which then you can quantify as either poorly designed or not. But I think overly designed with a lot of things you could do in toys for 5 points. It's pretty wild. The X-Wing Alliance, for just a friendly reminder, does not have anything against SLs. We just price them properly. So let's get into that. Whisper you had put at 7 instead of 5, where AMG had put Whisper.
Right. Well, it was 6.5. That's what we concluded in 6.5, and we've just had like a kind of policy where if something was a 0.5, we were going to go up on it, just because like our huge goal in the beginning was to reduce the power creep, reduce the power inflation that had been happening, because if it goes so high, the game becomes non-fun. Like,
yeah,
reducing it was absolutely necessary.
100% agree.
But
yeah.
I mean, we've got a ton of feedback on it. I think this is probably the most feedback thing.
So 6 points though. 6 points. Okay. Have you played 6 points personally?
Yeah, I played a ton of Whisper when it first came out to get kind of like a feel for it. Mm-hmm. I still think it's like a 6.5 ship, but I think with the nerfs to other things incoming, or like the nerf to the Lambda, the nerf to Karsabi, which we'll talk about in a second, it gives a little bit of grace for these SLs to be okay at 6.
Yeah, I do think Empire, like you could start with like a Soontir or Psi in a lot of cases, or Psi and Karsabi, and you have only spent 7 points. So, kind of making. But you guys mentioned you guys like where Empire is at. Empire should always be one of the better factions, and they should all be competitive, right? But like Empire has historically been a good faction in the game, and it's important, I think, to maintain that, and they have the pieces to be very competitive.
Well, with all my squad data, they're basically a 500 faction, which is where we want every faction to be. Like, we want every faction to win as much as they lose. If every faction does that, it means you've achieved true parity, which is like, I mean, it's impossible, right? We'll never get it exactly, but we're within 7% right now, and I'm hoping this update takes us to 5%.
So let's talk about Karsabi.
Yes, I mean, he was just probably a little too good.
Barrage rockets, a lot of health, 3 points, I4, swap his disarm for stress. Yeah. So you eliminate the missile slot. Can you take but the title grants a missile slot or no? Am I crazy? I can't remember exactly what the title.
Right. So the title does grant a missile slot if you take that. So now he'll only have 1 missile slot, which means you can't do barrage rockets. Basically, all we did was take barrage rockets from him.
Cool. Fair enough. Yeah, because at 3 points still seems fair, but with barrage, questionable for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see more ion cannon style Karsabi now, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And you guys brought down the SL Karsabi. I think, what was it at 6 before, down to 5?
It was at 6 down to 5. That also came from the playtest. That was straight from the playtest. And I guess I'm maybe a little worried about it, but also like, why have a playtest if you're not going to listen to them?
Shocking.
You know what I mean?
It's quite the revelation. Take it easy there. Jeez. Whoa.
Well,
patrol leader.
I mean, like, it is what it is, right? Like, it's kind of like, all right, we've heard of this enough where like, maybe it doesn't line up with our personal beliefs, but like, enough people think it that, are we going to trust them or are we not going to trust them?
Yeah,
keeps
well,
the
we
play-
always telling people just fill out the playtest form, and then we don't listen. Like that's even worse. So
yeah, that's been like my standard response to everything for like a month or two now. Is fill out a playtest form, and then I'm like, and then we're not gonna listen to it.
sucker, you just wasted your time. What is this, a dating app? I don't want to get my time wasted again. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
Heyo, there's a little jab there, Greg, and I know all too well. Patrol leader, VT49 decimator, generic. You get an extra crew slot. So, what are some options that you see being paired for the patrol leader now with this change? 19 loadout.
Well, the extra crew slot makes it you can put Death Troopers or Palpatine on it. Those are the two crew for Empire.
Yeah, something about Palpatine
guard.
being on a decimator instead of a Reaper, as we had corrected in the past, like seems a lot more thematic and a lot more reasonable. I like that.
I mean, like Vizier's been the Palpatine carrier, right? And
Yeah.
I get it, but I'm just like, I just can't see Palpatine getting on a Reaper. Like, I don't know, just in my head, I'm like,
And he
Palpatine's
dies
gonna be
so
like,
easily.
What is this? What is this small stupid ship? Why am I on this? Where are my padded leather seats?
Yeah, Palpatine should be fortressed a little bit. Like it's Palpatine. Like he's the freaking like you take him down, you take down the Empire. So like, don't have to put him in a ship that dies in 3 shots. Yeah, totally. That's cool. Patrol leader getting a little nod. Let's
Maybe
move over
Shippy
to.
don't run off the board by accident more times than not.
Are you attacking me with that one?
No, I'm attacking myself. The first jank tank.
Oh, because I did that on your stream.
Turn 2.
I did that on your stream a while ago. So yeah, fair. Yeah, that's those boosts. Be careful. Let's talk about the Republic. So there's a lot more, like, just there's a lot of names on here. So a lot of like some changes a little bit bigger, some changes a little bit more, or a little smaller. So what did you guys look at Republic? We can talk about the ADAs here first.
Yeah, so we're just trying to give the ADAs a little more play. I mean, let's be honest. Well, the Republic is an arc-based faction. It just is. And we're kind of like, without making arcs just unplayable, how do we offer more options to Republic players to be competitive, but also not have to fly 3 arcs? And we kind of felt like the ADAs were underperforming except for Obi-Wan. So we just decided to take a look at the ADAs, and I mean, most of it is just like a slight tweak to loadout, right? Like a couple more loadout points, 2 more loadout points, 3 more loadout points, 1 more loadout point.
Yeah.
We did try Yoda at 3, but it, like, almost immediately the playtesters were like, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah, Yoda's 3 Force too. He'd be tough to take down.
Yeah.
But ADAs are also
Yeah.
glass cannons, so that they're probably one of the hardest things in this game to balance. Honestly, with the access to the force evade every turn if they want to, pre-position, but then just one-shotting, getting one-shotted, blanking out.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're a very like a high skill ship. I feel like
yeah.
you gotta be pretty confident in your ADA flying ability. But yeah,
Totally.
we got enough feedback on Obi-Wan to be like the auto blasters combo wasn't right for him. So we're gonna put it on Shock T now. Less force, less initiative. It's gonna cost you 5 points to do it. So, you know, if you're gonna do it, you really want to do it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Republic has always been a higher, like a higher ceiling, or probably like a higher floor, higher ceiling, larger learning curve faction. So I think that makes sense. Or is it a lower floor, higher ceiling? I can't words. What are they? What do they mean? I don't know. What did you do to Obi-Wan with you? So you mentioned it's divisive with auto blasters. What did you do? Oh, maybe I scroll down. There it is. Yeah, that answers my question. Loadout changed.
Yeah. Well, we took Obi-Wan down from 5 to 4. So he's a 4-point ship now, but we also took 10 loadout from him.
Okay. It's a lot.
So
of
I mean, you can't do like the Auto Blasters R7A7 combo with him anymore. So it's kind of like a regular Ada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those days where the Adas were just taking our auto blasters and R7A7, and Anakin would abuse them. Yeah. Anything high.
You can only do it on Shock T now. Like, we're very conscious of which ship you can do it on. Yeah. So the option's there, 17. But it's on Shock T. But you probably want to save your force, right? You don't want to use Shock T's ability as much because, like, you're like,
and 5 points for an Ada could be a gamble for some people.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Glass Cannon. She's an I4 too, so you're not gonna. It's not as reliable as Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then lastly, I'll go back up to the Squad 7 veteran. I've seen some 5 arc lists out there, so you guys just remove the mod slot from that generic so that you couldn't have like a synchronized console party.
Yeah. So Ollie was specifically worried about Wolf with Wolfpack, and then some Squad 7 veterans with sync console. Apparently that's a particularly nasty combo.
Yeah, just kind of giving people mods like when they conveniently need it for their attacks. Pretty strong. Who would have thought? Fair enough.
Just throwing locks everywhere,
Uh-oh, I see bombardment drone on here. We're talking about separatists now. So do you want to get fact up first? We can talk about Sun Fac.
Yeah, but whatever. Your show.
How hey, yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about separatists first. So separatists going from the worst faction in the game statistically with AMG points to being really strong, and you have the draft league data. What have you noticed with CIS? And then we can first talk about Sun Fac from there.
Well, I mean, CIS won the first 2 big tournaments that decided to I think they decided to forfeit their GT status, and they ran XWA beta points. And CIS won both of those. They ended draft league with the highest winning percentage of all the ships. I think they were 0.570 winning percentage.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah. So it was I mean, it's kind of funny because when the points came out, I really, especially on Reddit, take it grain of salt or whatever. But all I heard was, oh, CIS dead again, dead in the water. And it turns out they're one of the stronger factions.
Yeah, I feel like people fixate on one thing that they expect or hope to see changed, and it's not changed the way they want, and they throw out the papers and don't look and say it's DOA. So, yeah, I'm all too familiar with that.
I think there's you see red and you're like dead. You see blue and you're like, oh, it's alive, and Yeah, I think that's one of the ones we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. So Sun Fac. I'm just going to read this really quick. Addressing Sun Fac in the Nantex, many open playtest feedback forums have mentioned that Sun Fac with Afterburners is a negative player experience, what we call an NPE. In talking to our members that are high-level CIS players, Afterburners is not their upgrade of choice on Sun Fac, so we considered leaving Sun Fac alone. But in the end, why ask for feedback if we're not going to listen to it? I agree. We are dropping Sun Fac to 17 loadout. This means he cannot equip Ensnare and Afterburners. Concurrently, we are dropping Gravitic Deflection to 3 points from 4, so that the expert preferred Sun Fac build of Ensnare plus Gravitic plus Treacherous will still fit. So there you go. You guys get a little tip if you want to know a good build for Sun Fac. There you have it. We hope this leaves Sun Fac still as dangerous as an I6 piece for the Separatists while eliminating the negative play experience. There was also something about outmaneuver in this snare, right? Is that a thing that he could have taken? You guys talked about that in the Discord.
He could have taken it, but it would be silly to, because you would also need to equip Snapshot to give you a front arc shot, because outmaneuver doesn't work on turrets.
Oh, that's true. That it does have that front arc requirement. So, yep, fair enough. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, that sounds really nasty. And then I was like, oh, I did forgot about the outmaneuver front arc requirement there. So. Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, if you were running that and making it work, props to you, because that's incredible. You'd need like snapshot out maneuvers.
Yeah. Yeah, Sunfac, I remember, I think it was like Doug Howe years ago was playing Sunfac with Afterburners. It was pretty nasty. What he, in the right hands, especially what he can do.
I mean, you
Pretty
can
nasty.
already kind of do it. Like it's not like a true boost, right? But
Yeah,
I
but
don't
being
know.
able to boost twice, essentially, right? Curve the boost and then boost again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it wasn't good. It wasn't when we talk to like the high level CIS players, like the French have a couple
The
really
French.
high level CIS players. And talking to them, they're like, yeah, we didn't use afterburners, because we're not like you're not trying to put Sunfac into that kind of position where he needs the afterburners, and he's the best knife fighter probably in the game, probably, I would say. So
Ooh.
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
everyone
fair
kind of
enough.
wins here. He doesn't get afterburners now. We didn't take away any of the preferred build. So unless you were like dead set on Sunfac having afterburners, I doubt you care.
Yeah, fair enough. Bombardment drones. So you guys have opted. Well, you take three of them with prox mines. You dunk them out in front, drop the prox mine out in front, and launch them. Um, and a lot of people, you mentioned it here, that a lot of the feedback was from mostly frustrated opponents. 3-point hyenas with 6 prox mines worth, and somebody at our local tournament recently, Greg, brought a CIS list with he brought like a stack of like 12 prox mines. So I don't know exactly what list he had, but he had a lot of prox mines in his list. It's like, well, okay. I didn't get to get that one on
CIS
stream.
list?
Yeah, he was taking. I think he took other bombers with prox mines as well. It was just like a crazy
Damn.
bomber list. Yeah, right. So you guys have decided to you keep them at 3, right? But you're raising the prox mine cost. Is that what I'm seeing here?
So yeah. So we know they're dead at 4. Like we know that for a fact because they're never played at 4. In AMG, when's the last time you saw a bombardment drone?
It's
Uh,
true.
so they're staying at 3. We raise the prox cost to 9. I believe it was 7. So raise the prox cost to 9. That means if you want to take a bombardment drone with a proxy mine, that's all you're taking. Which means you don't get delayed fuses, so you can't drop in front of you, run over it, and leave it for the next person. And then we took the config slot, so you can't sit on a rock and guard an objective with it.
That's a big
Which
one.
is, yeah, it's just because, again, you got to remember that none of these cars were designed with objectives in mind. Objectives came so much later, right?
Right.
So,
That's true.
like,
That's a really good point.
now you can just set up your obstacles by an objective, and like, if the person wants to or is going to try to play to win the game, they're going to have to go for objectives at some point. Like, at least a third of our points average from objective, at least a third, So, like, you have to go for it at some point. And if you can just sit there and guard it with prox mines, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got 180-degree coverage. So, either way, and I can spin every turn. So, any way you want to approach this objective,
Woody Woo says cluster mines for the win. Cluster mines make me laugh because the fact that there's a way that you can just not take any damage from them is like so wild to me.
Yeah.
Like they're massive. They're not cheap.
But that's part of the other reason why we raised the prox mine prices. Ollie brought this up a lot. He's like, maybe it'll make some of the other bombs a little more appealing too.
Sure, totally. And I mean,
'Cause,
cluster
like,
mines aren't
a
bad, but
bombardment
they
drone-
are not guaranteed damage.
Yeah, I think another thing to note is that in 2.5, there's less surprise moves. You kind of know where people are going for the most part. There's not a lot of moves that shock you.
Yeah.
And that makes bombardment drones easier to get value out of, since they can't just blow past you and not deal with it, Like, Again, because
Yeah,
if you ignore the objectives, you're going to lose straight up, especially against the CIS, who are usually coming with a volume of ships. That means they're going to be pretty decent at objectives.
let's move on. So CIS, it's first of all, just to summarize, these changes are like, especially bombardment drones. That's fair. The fact you can still take them, but not be able to sit on a rock, not be able to fuse them. That's a welcome change, I think, for most people, and I think CIS players would agree. And they still get to take the prox mines, so that's not a total loss. It's good to see CIS doing better and having a place in 2.5, because for the longest time, a lot of people just didn't think it was possible, and we're showing that it is. So that's good. And the fact that they won tournaments and done well at some bigger structured events proves that as well. So good job, XWA points team.
Yeah.
You win a cookie. An oatmeal raisin cookie. Let's go to First Order. First Order has not been doing super great. At least, with the data you have from playtests, and I know from the draft league, as you kind of cite here in that second paragraph. So let's talk about FO and like what was the most challenging, the most challenging aspect of tinkering with FO, because a lot of people say it's just a lack of choices. It's a little uninspiring, but I know it goes beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for the most part they're right. FO, you have 8 ships, which like sounds like, oh, it should be easy, but like there's less ships to fill in needs, like you have to still point ships for abilities, but like also there's just not, it doesn't have the variety that almost every other faction has. But also I think the difference in FO is their high end is so high. Like, I mean, Kylo Silencer, right? Vonreg,
Yeah.
like their high end is so high, but their depth is either like incredible or awful. Like, like the FOs that get extra dice, incredible. And then you have FOs that like Tina, where you're just like,
Static. Don't
okay.
forget about Static, who's got to spend everything in the world to change some results to crits.
Yeah, I just
love Static's ability. It's so stupid.
So weird. I don't know. The fact is, the data said they were underperforming slightly. They were the worst performing faction in Draft League. Again, they were only 7% below 500, which is still pretty good. But we feel like just a couple. Don't get confused with like quantity changes with quality changes. There's only a couple like actual meaningful changes here in FO. The rest is just opening stuff up to the players so they can have a few more choices in building, and hopefully that spurs a couple more lists that help make FO, at least the depth of FO, better. That was a mess of a paragraph of sentence.
It's all right. You're not the only. I guess I'm not the only one that can't speak sometimes. That wasn't bad. You're good. But these are some of the. I don't think you would say are necessarily aggressive, but probably more aggressive than what we've noticed in the global changes for this version update. Like it's Blackout going from 6 to 5, and then let's see, who else.
I mean, Blackout
Ember,
going
more
from
loadout.
6 to 5 is probably the biggest change in FO.
Yeah, Backdraft going up in squad cost, but getting a lot more loadout. 5-point tie SF, like, it'll be interesting to see how people interact with using Backdraft, because again, like Backdraft's ability with Special Forces Gunner is really strong. The double tapping ability to roll extra dice as well. So there are some nuanced things Backdraft really gets to take advantage of that I've seen with XWA points. But so
Backdraft is probably underutilized in my opinion, but a lot of people don't like playing from the back arc. It's not like a space they really think in. But it was more just like a variety thing, because there's already a bunch of 4-point thing, and like I can't take quick draw out because that's like an I6. So really, if you're not flying quick draw, you are flying quick draw. Your other options or named options are 4, 4, and 5. Before it was 4, 4, and 4. So we were like, why not give them an option for a 5-point with a ton of loadout that you can do kind of whatever you want with.
Would you say, like, looking at these changes, like, I think people expect more aggressive changes with FO. What would you say to somebody who's disappointed, an FO player who's like just disappointed with what they're seeing here? Like, I know you mentioned blackout. That's a good change. Giving sensor slots to the TIE FOs. Midnight can re-roll a die now with a fire control system, for example. But like, what would you say to someone who's like first glance is like, oh, I don't feel like this really moves the needle?
I guess I'd say that
try it.
Yeah, besides, I would say that, like, I would say that while they're performing lower than other factions, it's not so low that we need to like redefine the faction. It's so, like I said, they were at a 0.43 win percentage, so they're 7% off of 500. Now, some of that can be, explained away in the unique circumstances of draft league, right? Like, what your opponent's flying, what scenario when you choose your list. Also, the first order had the lowest like draft position, so typically the less experienced players were flying first order, which is fine. All that, but we also compare that to tournament data, and usually there'd be like 1 or 2 FO in the top 10, but never really in the top 3. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit. We need to raise it a little bit. It needed to be tweaked. It didn't need a full revamp. So I mean, I don't know what
with static and like,
them, but like,
yeah, no, I'm not trying. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. It's not trying to make it a Frost Nixon situation, but like Gaelic and static, like losing the cannon slot. So, like Gaelic for the longest time, he used an ion cannon carrier. Static was carrying ion cannon for a while and replacing with a missile slot. Do you feel like them having access to an auto 3-die to 4-die gun at all times was just kind of like too easy, or it was just like it was just a little too much because it was always there? Or like, what was the thought there with that?
I think it was theme.
Okay.
FOs have missile slots. They don't have cannon slots. That's just theme.
Fair enough. Get wrecked, Nick. Resistance.
I mean, that was literally when Ali wanted to make those changes. That was the reason. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm kidding. Ah! Someone's gonna clip something that I said out of context and be like, "You see, XWA hates everything" or something. I don't know, because this moment. Theme. What? How much do you want to bet, Greg, that one person is going to attack us for making a comment about changing something because of theme, and yet they're also an AMG simp? Again, AMG made a lot of changes based on theme. There's at least one person out there. I'm calling you out. I'm just kidding, but I'm also
whoever you are.
Whoever you are.
Person. You
when
might
you control clips. You control everything.
In my head.
Resistance. So you guys are pretty happy with Resistance, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically 500 in all the data we had. They were performing well in tournaments, and we got like almost no playtest feedback on Resistance. Like almost none. So nothing seemed to be a problem. They seem to be performing okay. So I guess
you just gave them a clip saying XWA, it's everything. Yeah, that's true, Matt. It's true. Yeah. And then Louis will be like, "What are you doing?" It'll be like, "Nothing, Louis, nothing."
I'll somehow get blamed for it. Even though I'm the one being like, "Well, I don't want to say that." Like,
yeah, I know. I'm the one. The PR guy's playing devil's advocate today. He's feeling a little spicy. Somebody let him out of his cage.
I'm coming out of my cage and I'm doing just fine.
Gotta be down because I won all the points.
Yeah, everything
So
is updated on Yasby. Yes.
yeah, and if anything's missing, let us know. But launch bay might take a
Don't,
little bit longer because it's
don't
an
let me
app as
know.
well. So, scum, 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 scum. You won't find a more wretched high as scum and villainry.
You try, but you won't.
But you won't. Let's talk about Scum. So Scum, one of a lot of people believe to be the worst faction in the game, was technically second worst in the original AMG points last year or earlier this year and last year. So how are you guys happy with where Scum has gotten? And talk about some of these changes that we saw for this version.
Yeah, so Scum's been pretty good. We've seen a lot of ships you haven't seen in a long time. Scum has been playing. Like you've seen them come back. I saw a G1A. Haven't seen one of those in forever. Little robots. But a lot of the Scum feedback was like, hey, things are not doing too hot right now.
In 2.5, what? Huh?
People love fangs, man.
I know. No, fangs have, I've always looked at fangs as and this isn't a 2.5 slight. Of course not. It's more so just fangs and 2.5 because they were always more of a ship that
they're not good
performed in
objective
2.0.
ships.
That is exactly what I was trying to say. Exactly.
Yeah.
So old T, you guys adjusted his loadout. You dropped it to 11? A raise.
Nope, slight raise.
Okay.
2-point raise to 11.
Okay. And then Fen Rao,
a little more.
Yeah, Fen Rao
was probably the biggest change in the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a huge one. This one scares me as a player, but I think it's absolutely worth trying with very little loadout as well. So he could just take Fearless, right, if he wanted.
Pretty much, that's it. Yeah, Fen Rao
or like clan training and Cutthroat, I guess, as well as an option.
If you wanted to, I don't know. I think Fearless is probably the best upgrade in the game. So maybe take Fearless, but whatever.
So yeah, so Fed and Ketsu is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like it's people complained a lot about Fen at 6, and they're going to complain a lot about Fen at 5.
Wait, hold on, stop. Somebody's complaining?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But,
this does not happen. Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting here, Greg.
The Sunterish. So.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt. What's interesting is you do mention that you guys are willing to do an emergency update if things are proven to be.
Yeah, if it gets ridiculous, we're not gonna sit around and be like, "Oh, we made this mistake and we're not gonna fix it." We'll step in if it gets ridiculous. That's why it's so important that people fill out a playtest report so we know. Like I only see the games I see.
Yeah.
So
again, please submit reports if you think Fen is too good. A lot of people are going to be like, well, also do not fill out reports with suggestions or complaints not based on anything. I don't know if you guys have had to deal with that too much, but don't do that.
Well, we got Matt to filter that out for us now.
Yeah.
So we only get the high quality.
Yeah, if you see anybody asking, like, it's not my 20 burner accounts asking for Gavin to be 4 with 20 loadout. Like, that's not me. So
Nixberry 1, Nixberry 2,
Nixberry 2. I'm not very covert. It's like my TTS room passwords. It's like, what's the password? 312. Very secure. Very mindful. Very demure.
But I think one thing to also keep in mind is that Scum is not very good at non-assault scenarios. Super good at assault because they have a lot of large medium bases, but like non-scenario or non-assault scenarios, they're not good at because they just don't have the token sharing, token passing that other factions get.
Or just pumping up their dice. That's another.
So they have to kill more ships to make up those points. So if a 5-point Fen doesn't do it for you, I don't know what will, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
And again, you got to get fed into range 1, and you're playing against like let's say you do that, but then you're getting shot at by another ship or another 2 ships at range 2 or 3, like that. That's 5 points is still 25% of the victory point total that you need to win a game. So yeah, there are a couple ways to look at that.
Like, there's no way you want to lose Fed. I don't care how many points he is. He's still like your biggest
Your
cannon.
biggest hitter, yeah. And he's predictable, especially when stressed. Like, where he's trying to go usually. It's the question is, can you stop it? That's always the challenge, right? But yeah, please submit playtest forms for that, but everything, right? Like this is important to get to the next stage, and I know we're coming up on Adepticon fairly soon, but we need data all the way through to the end, and when it comes to the decision on the structure the X-Wing Alliance takes moving forward with the game post Adepticon. So please play your games, have fun, get your playtest forms in. And yeah, let's see, page 8. Is there anything else? Just a little bit of a summary here. So Proxmines for upgrades, 3 changes: Proxmines to 9, Gravitic Deflection to 3, down to 3, and Sabine up to 5. In conclusion, Greg and Nick are handsome. Oh, I added that part. This is the beta version 3 update to the XWA points beta. Please, in all caps, please keep leaving feedback and play testing these points. Every bit of information is extremely important and valuable. And I, aka Greg and team, promise it's being read and hopefully, as you can see in this update, being listened to. Any other in summary, Greg, for you? Anything else?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it though. Like there's a lot of people like to proffer their thoughts on Discord and stuff, and that's fine. Like, discuss away. But if it doesn't make it to the playtest, we're not gonna remember. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta fill the playtest. If there's something you feel strongly about, you gotta fill out a playtest form. Because we actually want people to play. Because like I was saying, everyone's first reaction to CIS when these points came out were they're dead, they're going nowhere, and they're the best faction. Like, it couldn't be any more hilarious how that worked out. So like, play it, and then if it sucks, let us know. Fill out a playtest.
Please don't DM people bitching. like us. I mean, you can DM each other. Like, it's totally fine. But I don't want to speak for you, Greg, but I just think, if you are, try not to burst into people's DMs agitated and complaining about changes.
But even if they do, it's not something that I'm ever going to remember. I'm not going to remember in 4 months when we're doing a new update or whatever. Like, again, that's not an official timeline. I'm making stuff up. But, whenever the next time we go for updates is, I'm not going to remember, random DM said this. Put it in the playtest.
Yeah. And also just, this is just being real with y'all. Like, there's a lot of effort on our end to make sure that we do this right and to go through the process correctly to deliver this to you all. And so we just ask that you guys put in a little bit of effort on your end and fill out that form. Like, we appreciate that. It's really easy to sit back and just send a DM, but like Greg said, it's not helpful for a multitude of reasons. It's hard to remember. So effort is king for us all here, especially if we want to keep X-Wing going in a super exciting, sustainable way that we have on the horizon, right? So
yeah, but it's also like, if you put it in the playtest and then another guy from Germany puts it in the playtest, and then someone else you don't know puts it in the playtest, like, oh, this is popping up a lot. It's not like one person having this thought. It's it just really helps us. I can't.
Please, we're pleading. Please fill out that form. Give Matt Carey some work to do. That guy, he ain't working hard enough.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt Carey. Matthew.
He stood me up for Chili's.
Yeah, well, I didn't have that problem, so I think he likes me a little bit.
He might, but he ain't
Maybe.
giving you the Chili's.
The jury is out on that one still, I think. Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Greg, thanks for joining. In terms of streams today, I don't know about you, Greg, but I don't have any X-Wing slated for today, but there is a lot of high intensity Draft League X-Wing with these new points coming up this starting this next week, tomorrow. So I'll be streaming on Wednesday, Greg Tuesday and Thursday. You'll have, I think, 6 games between those 2 days at least. So hopefully no more. Hopefully no more. That's a lot.
People will sign up.
Yeah. But yeah, there'll be plenty to watch. So go to Greg's channel, Nickel City X-Wing. You guys should already be following there. But if you're not, what are you doing? Go over there. If he's on YouTube as well, subscribe to his channel. Give him a follow on both Twitch and YouTube. I guess YouTube is subscribing. There's no following on YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a boomer. Thank you all.